So, as you might have read in my in the little intro that they sent you, I have been teaching Let's Play Music for the last 10 years, both group and all group. And when we switched to the virtual stuff 2 years ago, everything went online and I had to transfer over my group lessons to online. Since then, I have continued teaching online, including both group and individuals. I have not yet learned how to do everything from Piano Marvel, so what you'll see is what I do with what I know so far. But there are things that you will be able to use, I hope. So when you switch to online teaching, there's two things that you think about you want to do. Number one, anything that you did in person, you want to be able to do online, right? You want to be able to handle the same things all over again. By the way, I can see all your faces, so you can, smile at me or say yes or no or whatever, or send me hand signals. But then the second question you should be asking yourself is, what else can I do that I couldn't do before? So I have learned eventually to use a tool called ManyCam, and that's how I'm signed in today. So when I went to my Zoom, choose my camera, you'll see I had a number of cameras to pick from. The Droid camera is the way I hook up one of my cameras. My live stream, that's my regular webcam. My Sparkle Cam is when I hook up another one. And my ManyCam virtual webcam is what I am plugged into right now. Everything you're seeing is through my ManyCam. So the first part of this lesson, the first part of this presentation, I'm going to show you what I can do. In other words, what students see, what you will see. And then I'll show you my setup, and then I'll show you the behind-the-scenes working tools of how this all gets put together. All right? So let's get started. So the first thing you might want to do is just have you on the screen, right? But you might want to do some fun things with your background, usually blurring. Are you watching? Okay, blurring is fun. And all of the fancy virtual backgrounds that you're used to on Zoom, those and thousands more you can do. We're not going to play around with those because I'm sure you know what that's all about. So I can blur if I want. I can also set up different messages. Here, let me see if I just open that up. So often at the beginning of a class, I have a little message sitting on my screen telling the kids what they need to bring. I also do the sort of thing I showed you earlier, where I have a whole screen like that that gives the kids the whole overview for the day. So I will actually show them one thing at a time so they don't get distracted. And I'll show them part one, this is what we're doing, and part two. This tells them what page to go to. If we're using a book, or if you were in Piano Marvel, you might say, I want to go to method blah, 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 or I want to go to, you can tell them exactly where to go. I found that when I simply told kids where to go next, half of them needed repeats, and then half of those needed another repeat. But if I put it up visually while I was saying it, it was very, very easy for them to find where to go next. So these are some things we can do with self-view. The next thing you want is you want a really good view of your keyboard. So this is my overhead view, and there are many ways I can zoom into it. You're going to see that any picture I have up I can zoom. So I can do that. And I can show them my fingers on the keyboard and exactly what I want them to do. Sometimes I do one note at a time. Everybody put finger one here. Everybody put finger two, and because I'm watching them, I can see. So lots of times they need help with exactly what keys to play. So that is my overhead camera view. And recently I've been messing around with, well, sometimes we need a side camera view. So often we're showing them different things that they need to know about technique with their wrists or their fingers, flat, we want to show them good technique, and we need a nice side view for that. So I have another camera set up where I can see a side view. So those are things that I use all of the time. Sometimes, and actually a lot of the times, I want all of those views up there at the same time. And I can move them around. I can make one bigger than the other. I can crop, I can drag, And sometimes I say, okay, I'm going to play a particularly troublesome passage, and you can watch it any way you want. Because they can see me in the top corner there. They can see my hands. They can see everything they need to, all at once. So the next thing I use an awful lot is I often want them to look at music. Even if you're teaching on your piano marble screen, I'm sure there are times when you want to pull up the music and you realize you have everything on PDF anyway. So I use my Edge browser and I put up all my things, like I put up my homework assignments there. And the important thing is that I can write. So I can say, okay, where are we going to go with this one? Let's go here. I can draw on these screens. This is a thing I use to help them check their homework. These are things that I will use for the lesson today. They're all ready to go. They're on one Edge browser so that I can switch quickly from page to page, and I will write on screens, and if I have to, I can also use a highlighter. Where's my highlighter here? A highlighter. It's not that one. It's just lost it. All right. Wasn't supposed to lose the highlighter. I just did. So you get the idea that I can highlight, I can draw, I can erase, I can mark. And the beautiful thing is, if I have to teach the same lesson to a number of kids, I just erase it and start all over again instead of using new sheets of paper. So the next thing, the combination that I use the most often when I teach, just because it works for me, is I may have the music over here, the keyboard over here, and then me over here. And the kids see all of those on one screen. They don't have to sign. I don't have to have multiple, sign-ins to Zoom. It's one Zoom sign-in with multiple screens going. You already saw the next one, the text agenda. We can use this for anything we want, but you've seen enough of that. Now here's some other fun things. What if you want to show a URL on YouTube, a YouTube video, okay? So you can input YouTube URLs. So I just did for fun for this one. I put in 3 of my student competition videos, and I can actually play them. Can you guys hear? Not if you can hear. All right. And I've got this I've got Elodie here, ready to go. So sometimes we use YouTube videos with maybe an orchestral version of the song that we're doing, or another performance, and I've got Jay here too. Well, that's the wrong one anyway. So that's another thing that I can do. Also, I can use an input for JPEGs of any sort. So any photo that I have that I want to show. Recently, I used these photos to help parents on the other end look at a really appropriate and beautiful setting for their own webcam. So this is a person who has a keyboard and a laptop and a beautiful webcam off to the side. Do you see that little thing that looks like a robot? And then this is the second picture on the right is what it looks like. And what I see, and I see from the webcam, I see the piano marble screen, and I also see the child at the keyboard, and I also see myself, of course. So this is just an idea of how you can put up various JPEGs. What else do I have on this one? Okay, I also keep a Chrome browser window open, and I wanted this to open up on Piano Marvel. So I do not have to log in separately on Piano Marvel. In fact, I've got this so set up that right now I can actually play. And yeah, wait. Can you hear it? Okay, you can see it. Anyway, it does work. I just don't want to take too much time with that, so I'm going to stop that. So my Piano Marvel is live over here, but I also, anything else that I have set up on my Chrome browser is available. I often use this right during class. Let's say a certain idea has come up, and it's like the kids ask me, what are the words to that song, or where did that come from? We will do a Google search right in front of everybody and find what we're looking for. Okay. So then last of all on this section, what I want to show you is what I call the fun stuff. All right. For instance, you might want, see my timer go on and off? Right? I might want to turn on a timer. I might want to make it bigger. Let's make it bigger here. And I'm giving them 5 minutes to do something, and there's a start button here somewhere. There it is. Okay. And there goes the timer. And they can all see that. There's a stopwatch. All right, we're going to turn the timer off. Also, there's all the fun stuff that you can imagine in terms of special effects. And often you need these for various purposes. All right, I'm going to show you a couple of them. You can do all sorts of distortions and goofy stuff. Sometimes this is a reward for kids. Sometimes there's a good reason for it, but there's thousands of them on ManyCam. You can do various face accessories. You know, kids love these things. I love the masks where we can actually talk like a monkey. We have various objects, thousands and thousands of objects that you can use, and you can make them move, you can change their color, you can change their size. You can do just about anything you can dream of, and we're all still on just one ManyCam input. Like there's no end to this part of it, all right? So that is the end of part one, all right? And I'm gonna come back on here so you can see me. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would want to do? And I can answer. You can unmute if you have a question of something else you might want to do. Are you overwhelmed already?
Do you have your students on mute the whole time, or?
Oh no, my students, I only mute my students occasionally when I want them all to listen to what I'm saying. And then I will say, okay, if you want to talk, on mute. And then sometimes I say everybody on mute because I'm teaching back and forth. I'm constantly interactive. I keep my screen on gallery view all the time. It's on gallery view right now because I want to see everybody and what they're doing, what they're up to. So if I want them all to answer or to sing a certain pitch or something, I'll say everybody on mute. Let's see what it sounds like. Does that answer?
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes I have to say, okay, you guys all on mute because I want you to listen to me now. All right. So that nobody has any more questions on what you can do. All right. So then
I have a question.
Okay. Yes.
I'm wondering, how long did it take you to learn all of this? Is it a big learning curve or is it fairly intuitive?
That's a good question. I didn't start with ManyCam. I started with other types of software like this and learned one thing at a time. And then I found out there was an easier way to do it. So the way I do this is I learn one feature and use it. I learn one feature, like hook up one camera and use it. And then maybe try picture in picture and use that for a while. And then maybe try adding the YouTube stuff, and then try zooming in. I will show you all the controls, but for me, it's one thing at a time. And this is, I was telling Cammie and Michelle earlier, what happened to me this morning, I went on the ManyCam website and discovered all kinds of features I didn't even know about. And I started watching tutorials, and I decided, no, I should not be showing you features that I'm not, advanced with, that I'm not really adept with, that I should learn these later on. So there are more features that I'm not teaching you because I want to get really comfortable with them first. So it's one thing at a time. Intuitive is personal. What's intuitive for me might not be intuitive for you. Like I hate MuseScore. It's not intuitive for me at all. And I'm really good at other types of software that are intuitive for me. So
you know what? I don't think MuseScore is intuitive for anybody, but maybe that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
I agree.
So the beautiful thing about ManyCam is there are tons and tons of gorgeous video tutorials on YouTube. And the ones that I learned from the best were the ones created by teachers for little kids. Those are and there's some really good ones for teachers teaching sign language, American Sign Language, English as a second language. There's a lot of really good ones there. And I even was watching some this morning, and again, the ones where teachers are the best. But it's not hard to learn. So let me show you. Let me go on and show you how this all works, okay?
And
yes.
I think Cindy may have had something. I'm not sure, but I think she may have.
Okay, Cindy.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, I feel the same way about MuseScore. Is there something just real fast that you have found intuitive to you? Because maybe it would be for me.
For screen, for notation?
Yeah.
Oh my golly, guys, this is way off topic.
I know, I don't mean to
Yeah.
steer you there, just a
I
quick,
use an ancient program called Scorewriter 5 because I've had it for like 30 years. I've had the beginning of it was Cakewalk, and it's my favorite. But I also, what I love for the kids, I love NoteFlight. It's beautiful. Last year, in our kids in Let's Play Music write their own compositions, and usually the teacher does all the notation. Last year, the kids did their own notation with the help of a parent because they could do NoteFlight online. The problem is NoteFlight does not transcribe over if you're putting stuff up on Piano Marvel. It's not a good transcription. Neither does Scorewriter. It does not transcribe over to input into MuseScore. So I'm messing around again with Sibelius. I'll probably go check Finale again and see if I can find something I like better. Or just live with MuseScore and get it done, you know.
okay, thanks. Sorry to derail you.
That's okay. That's okay. There's some things that, you know, I'm glad to share. All right, I'd like you to look at this right now, this picture right here. So here are some things I want you to know about my setup. On the left, you see my overhead camera and my small camera on a tripod. I'm going to tell you the story of how these got there, not because you're going to do what I did, but because I want you to see how innovation is part of my life, and that's just how we have to operate. In March of 2020, March 4th, I broke my leg. Seriously. I was in the hospital, I was in the nursing home, I was out for 12 weeks. When I went back to teaching, everything was online, and you could not buy a webcam anywhere. Not anywhere. I mean, they were sold out. So I started playing around with Google to see if I had anything that would work. And what you see on the left picture is you see my Nikon DSLR, beautiful, expensive camera that was not being used because we were using our cell phones, right? So I found a way to hook up my DSLR to my computer. You can see the cord running it to the computer there. What I needed was a stand for it. And the standard webcam, you know, gooseneck or whatever, or even the mic stand were not strong enough. What I did is I took my camera and my tripod over to the camera store, and I said, what do you have that will hold this above my keyboard? And what the contraption you see there is actually a light stand. It's very heavy duty, and it's strong enough to hold the Nikon. The cool thing is it moves every direction you can imagine. It moves, and then I put my zoom lens on so that I could zoom for it too. So that's one way I got a webcam. And I got software called SparkoCam that actually could go into the Nikon and use the Nikon settings and turn it into a webcam. Beautiful. I learned that. The next thing I did was I needed another camera to view other things. And if you look at the right, you'll see that camera, that's an old cell phone that was sitting around not being used. And I thought, is there a way to turn an old cell phone into a webcam? It's got a decent camera on it, why not? And so you'll see that on the left picture, you see it pointing at the keyboard, and on the right, you see it pointing at a magnet board. We do a lot of that in Let's Play Music. We have magnet boards and pocket charts and so forth, so that when we're using visual aids, we can just focus a camera on the visual aids. So at the time, the only way that I knew to turn the smartphone into a webcam was through software. And so I got a software called DroidCam, which you'll see later on, which allowed me to use my Wi-Fi on that camera. Nowadays, you don't have to do that. You write in ManyCam, you can actually create you can make your cell phone into a Wi-Fi webcam. So you can have ManyCams right through many webcams by using ManyCam on Wi-Fi. Okay. In the middle, what you see at the top of the monitor is you see my current webcam. Eventually, like a year later, I was able to buy a decent webcam. That's the little guy you see on top of the monitor. Very, very important. You also see the microphone on my desk. This is something I learned to add for decent sound, and I got a Blue Yeti, which was highly recommended as a DSL, as a USB web microphone. That was really important. Okay. If you have any questions about those pictures, you can unmute and ask right now, because that's what I wanted to show you. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to make a quick point that I had discussed with you earlier, and you probably noticed some of these are plugged in. That's
right.
something to take note of, because I have my overhead die if I don't have a really long cord to plug it into a power source.
Very important. Very important. You see 2 cords hanging out of the Nikon. I was charging my battery every single day. I mean, it was terrible. So I found, again, I just looked around online and I found out you can get a power source for the Nikon. I figured out how to plug it in. And so the Nikon's on a constant power supply. Also, the little camera, the little smartphone is hooked up to a constant power supply. I just keep it powered up, because I can't be charging it all the time. So it's always charged up. And then I turn it on when I need it. All right, well, maybe we are ready to share screen and show you the behind the scenes, what's going on. You ready? All right, so I am going to share my screen. All right, and I'm going to move your pictures over so I can see you guys. All right, so do you see my cursor moving around also? Do you see a bright yellow cursor? Okay, I can see all of you, so you can nod or wave at me or do whatever. All right, so ManyCam has many camera inputs. Right now I'm using 13 of them, which is ridiculous. Normally I teach with 4 or 5. But this is for the presentation today. I wanted to have everything to go. Whichever of these I click on, whatever you see in the big window up here, that's what the Zoom sees. This is the preview of the Zoom screen, okay? So if I click on this window, so then all the people on Zoom see this camera. If I click on this one, all the people on Zoom see that, okay? If I click on this one, all the people on Zoom see that. If I want to change what they see there, I just go over to my browser and switch to a different thing on my browser. Okay? So every single window is called a preset. Every preset that you have has many things you can do with it. Can you see up at the top of the screen here? So first button is transform. I can change my corners like that and make them round. Okay. I can flip, which sometimes you have to do if one camera comes out backwards or something. I can mirror, which I don't like. I can crop. I do a lot of this. So are you seeing the entire crop screen here? So let's say I only want the kids to see, sometimes I don't want them to see my hand on the piano because I'm playing intervals and they're doing ear training. I don't want them to see what I'm doing. So if I apply the crop, now this is all they will see on the Zoom screen, just that much of me. Okay, so I can change whatever I want. The next window, let's reset the crop here. Let's just reset it so you can see the whole picture. All right. Every preset has a zoom button, and these come in handy. I'm telling the kids, read what's on the screen. They can't see it. We just go zoom in. All right. So I can zoom. You don't want to see that much of me. All right. So we can zoom anything that we need to. Every preset has a color adjustment just in case you need it. We can brighten, we can darken, we can change color views, we can change contrast. I don't mess with these because I have a good ring light on. We can change, but you could play with that if you wanted to, you know. So every single preset has these controls that you can play with. And then of course you need to set your frames per second and your pixel resolution also. So let's take a look at some of the presets. So I'm going to go over here to my preset setting. And right now I have that many. I have 14 presets all lined up. Okay. Let's pretend I'm going to make a brand new preset. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do number 15 and hope my computer doesn't crash, right? So when I click on, do you guys see that screen that says cameras or not? Okay. So it tells me I can pick any of these cameras. Now the Droid camera, that's my smartphone. The Sparkle Cam, that's my Nikon, because that's how I have them hooked up, but you don't have to hook them up that way. Are you sure you can see all this? Can you see? Okay, so I can click any camera I wish, or I can click images and videos. That's where I get my JPEGs, and maybe I have a little video that I've made to show something in action and I want to play it. I can click on PowerPoint, and I can put one preview is just a PowerPoint that I have set up ahead of time. The next one is a PDF. Perhaps I want to have PDFs of the different Piano Marvel lesson manuals up and ready to roll. Then they wouldn't have to take screen space. I could just say, we're going to enter the PDF there. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, so piano lessons. So I want to go to method 1 PDF, and I want to set it up. And there it is. There it is. It's all ready for me. If I want to show it, I can go like this, and I can change it. But the thing is, I can only turn pages like this. So I can have a PDF there at any time I need it. So I'm going back here to my, what else can I enter? I can enter NDI. I do not understand, guys. It says no inputs found because I don't have any, because I don't know what they are. And I started learning that this morning, but that's irrelevant. Mobile device is the latest one I found out, and that is so exciting. Look, I already have my iPad set up, and I have my current cell phone set up. So if I click on either one of these, whatever I am doing on those devices will show up as a window, which is super duper cool. I just don't want to try it right now because I have too many windows open and too much going on. But what I have to do, and what I did do, is I installed ManyCam on my iPad. I installed ManyCam on my cell phone, and they are available for me. Like if I wanted to take my cell phone and walk around the room and show you everything, I could do that right now. All right, so let's go back again to our input. All right, input, mobile device, IP cameras. These are the ones that are Internet Protocol cameras where you might have set up a motion detector or a doorbell camera or something that's on your Wi-Fi network. I don't have any of those. Desktop I use all the time. This is cool. So notice on desktop, I can show all displays. Not a good idea because I have two huge 27-inch monitors here. But I can display, let's do display 1 and see if we don't crash. Okay, so there's display 1. Okay, so that's, yeah, you can see that, can't you? That's what my monitor looks like right now. You guys are on it? And here's the little, that's my control for my Droid Cam. Here's my, and then you see my, my Chrome browser, and you see my control for share screen are all there, right? You can even see yourself. So we're going to just get out of that. All right, I go back here. I don't want to show you that anymore. Well, I'm going to have to start a new one. All right, so let's go back to me. All right, I just want to go through all the video sources for you while we're doing this. You can see all that's available. All right, so we're going back to video sources. All right, desktop, different displays. Area under cursor is a little tricky on a double monitor. An app window, I use this one all the time. I just put up the window. So right now I have my Chrome browser and my Edge browser up there. App area and custom area I just played with this morning. That's where I can just pick any particular portion of my screen I want to. Did I lose it somewhere? I had it all lined up. Yeah, it's up here. I lost it. I kept changing it and I lost it. So I'm using a portion of the screen and I can move this around. Let's see what happens if I go to my second monitor. Going to my second monitor, I don't want things to go crazy on me. All right. So you see what I'm doing? I have a portion of screen window and I'm moving it around my desktop to show you all the things that are around there. Okay. Something to play with. All right. Let's go back to add things. All right. Here's the YouTube URL. You just have to copy and paste your YouTube. Color source, I do a lot, and I'll tell you why. Here, let's do color source. This is how I start my screen that I'm going to draw on, because that gives me a blank canvas. I can draw anything on it. I can put extra stuff on. I can text, I can write, I can do anything on this screen I want to. And that's where I usually do my typing and scrolling. So let's see what else we can do here. I hope I don't make this crash. I go input. Okay, after color source, you have a web source URL. Actually, you can put the URL to anything on you want to on this one. This one I don't know. Games I don't play. All right. Now, transitions. Oh my glory. I haven't played with these very much. I just use the automatic crossfade. But you can pick anything you want for the way the pictures, the way you move from one screen to another. I just find that too distracting and too silly. Okay? So those are all my video sources. I'm going to go back to me on the screen here. So those are my presets. Are you ready? Are you mind boggled yet or not? Okay, let's go down to the next screen. The next input is your audio, and all you need to do there is decide which microphone you want. I do not do a bunch of playlists or anything. The next one is draw and text. I use this a lot. This is where I get to draw or text on the screen anything I want. The next one is our times, our timer and our stopwatch. The next one is the virtual backgrounds. See, anytime you're on a preset, you can pick any of these to add to, jazz it up a little bit. Lower thirds we don't use a lot either. That's where you add something to the bottom third of the screen. I prefer to make my own. Effects I use a lot because that's where I get to do, look at how many things I can pick from. Borders, I love borders. I had the Halloween border up for Halloween, let's cross that out. I've had lights, borders up. That one's funny. So we can use various effects, emojis, face accessories, filters, foods, music, objects. This is like a never-ending thousands and thousands of things you can play with. The gallery is where you put pictures that you've made. Like here, I don't know why I made this recording, but I recorded something. I thought I don't want to do it for every class. I'll just play my little recording, so it's there. And then at the very bottom, the ones you put your favorites, the ones that you're going to use quite often. Oh my golly, what have we done here? I think I have gone through major inputs. This is time for questions, okay? Oh, picture in picture, big deal. All right, so now that I have my camera set up, I'm going to add a new layer. And on the new layer, I'm going to choose again whichever one I want. Let's choose my SparkleCam. So now I have another layer on this window, and I can move that layer around. I can move it to the front or back. I can also unlock the bottom layer, which is too complicated to do right now, okay? So I can play around with as many layers as I want. And you saw already examples of how many pictures and pictures that I was doing, right? Yes? All right. So I think it's time for your questions, because I don't want to, oh, everybody asks, and I know you do this, I know you need to know. Let's go back to the screen right here. So people ask, I'm not selling this, I'm not involved in any way, but you might, oh, I'm screen sharing, so I can't do this. I'm going to stop screen sharing, guys. Okay, stop screen sharing and show you this one right here. So if you go to the ManyCam website, of course you can download for free, like with anything, you can at least get a look at it. There's a standard where you have 4 video sources and 1 device. There's a studio, and then there's a premium. What happened to me is I started out on the easy free one, then I started adding, and every time they had a sale where it was like almost ridiculous, if you didn't upgrade, I upgraded. So I'm at this area right here. I'm at Studio Lifetime right now, and I haven't spent that much money, but I'm getting my fun out of it for sure. Okay, I'm going to come back onto the picture here. Okay, here we go. Okay, unmute and ask all the questions you want, and we'll take care of it from there.
Can't think of any questions. I'm just kind of floored.
Well, I was gonna. Oh, go ahead, Anne.
Can you see how, are there things, I would like to know this, are there things here that you think would be valuable to you, would be useful in
Oh,
teaching?
absolutely.
Right. What, tell me what your first impressions are.
Well, I could never figure out how I would do a group class online, but I can see if you were using it this way, it would be very doable. When they are using, when you're playing and they're listening, is there lag?
Yes, yes, there are ways to fix that. There are ways to fix that. I'm just not, I mean, because even in ManyCam, there are ways that you can adjust lag. I just have not gotten to that point of techie, I want to mess with it yet. I just know that right now.
There is actually a software in place of Zoom called Rock Out Loud Live that
I've tried it. I've tried, you name it, I've tried everything.
And what was your experience with Rock Out Loud Live?
Complicated, just too complicated for what I'm doing. You know.
But it does take care of the lag, right?
Yeah, but my kids, remember, the kids I teach are 5, 6, and 7 years old. You know, Rock Out Loud and Musical and a few of the other ones, those are fine for kids who are, 11, 12, 13, 14, who can handle. They certainly need to be able to read instructions, My kids usually have a parent hovering over them. Granted, there are a few that do the muting and the zooming and everything else themselves these days, but at the stage that I'm teaching kids right now, I have to have something that's really simple on their end. All they need to do is mute and unmute. That's all they have to do. And when we want to play duets, what I do with them is I have them mute and they play on their piano while I'm playing the other part on my piano. They can hear everything. They can hear both themselves and me. So they hear both. I don't. And I just have to take for granted that they did something that was fun. Sometimes I want them to play along. Piano Marvel does better at this in terms of play along and get the tempo right. But before Piano Marvel, when I wanted them to get the tempo, I said, okay, you guys mute. I'm going to play. You play with me. And if you're not playing the same time I am, then your timing is wrong. So Piano Marvel is better for that, for getting timing together. But no, the lag is there. And we just... I have different ways to deal with it,
So I know almost every teacher here has at least one student online. Mm-hmm. Are there some of the things that Anne has been talking about that you use, and are there some things that you do that are not in this as well?
Well, I'm not very savvy, but I use the whiteboard. When you share your screen, and then you can use the annotate and they can use the annotate, or I'll take a picture of something and send it up. Like if I want one of the instruction pages from Piano Marvel, one of the little quizzes or something at the end of a section, I can do that.
You see right now, you could have all those pictures each lined up on a preset and pull up each preset for them to look at.
So it'd be
the good thing here for me is when I was sharing screen all the time, you have to share and unshare and then find the new one and unshare. There's too much downtime, and you lose little kids. You lose them. If you can't go instantly to this and instantly over and write on it and erase it and just move right along, that doesn't work. Also, since we're talking just about online stuff, when I teach group online, especially because there's more material to present, I make sure that I have the kids on gallery view the whole time. I always see the kids. I keep them busy. I give them things to do, standing up, jumping around, dancing, moving to the music. I make sure they are moving frequently, and I can see them move. I watch them move. I don't let them just sit still staring at a screen. I give them things to write. And then when they get done writing, I say, show me what you did. And they all hold it up to the camera. And I pretend I can see exactly, and I name every kid. And I say, okay, James, I saw yours. That was great. Elodie, that's beautiful. I make sure that there's constant interaction so that they are never bored or dragging around,
How many students do you teach in a group?
Currently, my biggest group is 8. And I don't think I would want to go beyond that. If I had to go beyond that, I'd divide them into 2. because I can watch 8 faces on screen and I can give everyone a chance to answer. If it got bigger, I might not have an eye on everyone. And there are times when we perform for each other and one kid performs and everybody claps, and you know, by the time we get through 8, we're ready to do something else. Actually, I break it up, you know. So 3 or 4 is easy. 7 or 8 is a little more challenging. Okay, what I do with my group classes, because of the kind of curriculum I teach, is I do a lesson that's about 40 minutes, and then I meet privately with each of them for 15, 20 minutes each week, so that I can watch them and see how they have, you know, taken in the information and how they're doing with it. Because I can't give individual attention to all the kids in one group class. I would lose their, right? Yeah. And for those individual lessons, I want the cameras way up close. I want to see their hands on the piano. Very important to me. Okay. Yeah.
I was wondering, like, what the kids have to do to set up. What do you ask them to do as far as camera goes?
Actually, I had some pictures. Darn it. I ask that there's 2 things: that I can see their face, and that I can see their hands on the keyboard. Most people end up putting a camera off to the side. I had a whole bunch of pictures that I used to show the parents how to do that. I'd have to go dragging them up for you. But I want to be able to see, you know, hands on the keyboard and faces. And most parents will just tip the keyboard, or even the kids tip the device, like the laptop or the iPad, so that I can do both. It's a whole different thing now that I've started doing Piano Marvel during the lesson too. I haven't figured that one out yet. I love it when they use their device right on the music rack and they tilt it down so I can see their hands on the keyboard, but I can also see their face and also see their share screen. The best setup I ever saw was this one here. This was amazing, where we had I love this, but not everybody can do something like this. So here you have the laptop device where the music would be with Piano Marvel, but then you also have a webcam off to the side, so that what I'm seeing is the results of the webcam and the results of the Piano Marvel input at the same time. I like that.
And then are you in the corner there? I can't see, but is that your Zoom in the corner of the laptop?
Yeah, that's my Zoom. Yeah, because I'm seeing me too. Because I'm using a share screen view. That's where they are sharing screen. That's student share screen view. So that's everything that I've been doing has nothing to do. Everything I've shown you today is not related to when the students share screen. That's a whole different thing. But you don't want to do that for a whole half hour, a full 40 minutes. There's times when you want to teach something too, right? I hope that we still have other things we want to do besides looking at their screen. So the things I presented to you today are all the extra things that you want to do when you're not looking at their Piano Marvel screen.
So this is out of my curiosity. So how has everybody else been doing their online teaching? Because one thing I definitely need to do, and I know this was in the certification course and I haven't done it, is have that side shot of the student's hands or the above shot. I just have them move their camera and show me one hand, I definitely need to do that. But I'm curious because I'm curious what everybody's setup for online teaching is. Do you have that overhead? Do you have the side? Do you have the webcam? What are you doing?
I have a microphone stand that with my iPhone that shows my hands and keys. I do not have an overhead, and then I just have my computer in front.
Okay. Is that kind of what most everybody has up until this point? Yeah, I think that's pretty standard. So this
I
opens
have
up.
I have a microphone stand that I just kind of move around for whatever angle I need. I would love to have like a more permanent setup like Anne has, which is awesome. I just live in an apartment, so there's not really like much of a way to do that at this point. But yeah, that's awesome. I love Anne everything that you showed us. It seems like like the ideal setup.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When setting up this class. This is just a simple tripod with a little attachment to it. And I can move this all over the place. You know, I can move it anywhere, put it on any angle. I'm still playing around with what angle. That's the one that's on my Droid Cam, which is right over here. So as I move it, you can see I can play around with different, I just don't know where I want it. But most of the parents have something that looks, I don't know. The thing is I can adjust. And it all depends on what I'm trying to teach, you know. And if I'm trying to teach how to move your wrist and not be like a cardboard person, you know, which we have to do a lot of that with these kids. I need a camera view that shows hands moving around. In fact, what I did last time I did this, I put a red glove on so they could see exactly what was going on with my hands. So it's not that hard. I mean, to set up a cell phone on a simple tripod, it's just not that hard.
Well, and I have to say, Anne, that something that is so impressive to me is that you have not let technology scare you. Like you've been like, I can figure this out. I'm going to find out how to do this, and I'm going to find out the best way to do this. And I know, at least for me, like I've really had to change my relationship with technology from being controversial to something
This is the joke. This is the joke. Many, many years ago, now you guys, you have no idea how long ago this was. When DVRs first came out, okay, in the business that I was in at the time, I was told I had to use a DVR to show these videos at our meetings, okay? Do you know what I did? I cried and cried and cried because it was too complicated for me. I could not figure out how to push all the buttons and stick the things in. That's how untechnologically oriented I was. It's just one piece at a time. One piece at a time. That's just the way it works. The first computer that we bought, this is kind of personal stuff, way, way, way back, again, more than 30 years ago. The reason we bought a computer was because I was composing music and I didn't like the way it looked when I did it by hand. And I thought, maybe these newfangled computer things, maybe there's a way to make music on the computer. And I went to somebody that looked through her music teacher magazines and said, oh, here's a little ad for some music software. And that was the old Cakewalk. So I bought the software, and then we went to the store that was selling those new computers, the ones that were like, they didn't even have Windows at the time. And we said, we have this software to write music. What kind of computer do we need? And that's where we learned to use computers, because I wanted to notate music way back. It's a step at a time. It's based on what you need and what you want to do. I wanted my music to look pretty. And I had to learn how to hook up MIDI cables, and oh my golly, it's just amazing. So this morning, when I was looking at, I went to the ManyCam website to see, I better know what the latest is. And I found a whole bunch of new features that I didn't even know existed. And when I'm done with this presentation, I'm going to go learn those new features because I think they might come in handy. You know, who knows? It's good to keep your brain active, guys. It's really good.
Well, and now you've gotten to a place where you actually love it, right? It's no longer.
The teaching online is my kids online are doing better than my kids in person. I get in, it's just wonderful. There are fewer distractions. We can do more things. I can see them up close. I can share up close things that they need to see. But I keep them engaged. You know, I keep them busy. I don't let them just stare at a screen. And it's a good thing, you know. And
a true accomplishment, because I've tried to teach online group and I didn't learn all of these tools that you have, and I kind of abandoned it because it was not as good as in person for me. So that's so great that you figured all of that out.
Kids have to be involved, and you have to be aware of them at all the time. Like right now, I have my screen on gallery view. I'm looking at each one of you to see, okay, who's looking tired, who's looking bored, who's got an idea, you know, and if any of you look too like out of it, I will do something to get your attention.
I wondered, you said that the kids don't get as distracted. How do you have rules as far as like siblings go and who can be, you know, in the
When I teach online,
yeah.
there's dogs going through, and there's kids twirling around on their chair, and there's parents around, and there's phones ringing. No, the kids are amazing at being able to focus. They don't even notice. I've noticed, okay, when we are in person and I have like 4 keyboards set up, and if they don't have their headphones on and they're all playing, they just do it. They just do it. They all are playing their own little thing, and they don't even notice that there's 3 other keyboards playing something different. That's me that notices that. You know, I'm the one that needs to I have them all put headphones on.
That's what I was going to say. I'd be the one being like, oh, I need headphones.
And the kids, you know, kids are growing up in families where they've been at home for a couple of years. They've had kids, you know, siblings being homeschooled. They've had parents working at home. They have gotten really good at filtering and just doing whatever they need to do. They've also gotten pretty technically adept, some of them. You know, they really have. Even my 5-year-olds. Yeah. You'd be surprised. One thing I do love with these younger kids and doing online stuff is parents are around, even if they're not hovering. They are aware of what's going on in the lesson, which is really super cool, you know. Whereas if they're in my studio, maybe they know what's happening, maybe not, and they can give guidance. So I have found it to be really helpful. Yeah.
Well, I think we all need to thank you, Anne, for such a great presentation. This is stuff that I had not been familiar with or known about. So thank you.
One other note, if any of you, decides to get into ManyCam and you get hung up, give me a call and I'll guide you through some of it. You know, there are good tutorials, but they're not always designed for music teachers. You know, they don't address our particular needs. And I'm perfectly happy. If I don't have the answer, I'll find it. I promise.
Great. Thank you, Anne, so much. I do want to ask, we don't actually have something set up for next week. What do you guys want to learn about next? What are you interested in? We'll come up with something if you don't have anything, but I definitely wanted to ask. One thing, when I was going over this with Anne, I actually teach online using a course, which is a completely...
I'm doing courses too. I have to follow.
Yeah. So anyway, I've kind of showed Anne Hansen. Are you still here? Yes, she's here, but kind of the setup that I'm doing. And I teach primarily from Piano Marvel. I created the course around Piano Marvel. We talked about that a little bit, which is it's another way to go about doing online teaching as well. If you guys have things that you want to learn about next, you can also put them in the Facebook group. And just so we are making sure to bring things to you that are the most helpful to you. So, but Michelle, do we still have you here?
Yes, you do. We're having a hectic day at home today, so that's why my camera's off. But yes, I'm here.
No, that's okay. I was just going to ask if there was anything else from anybody, or if we're closing it up.
I think I just wanted to remind everybody that the Disney Challenge is going on. Has everybody started that? Are you doing that with your students?
We got finalists for the YouTube competition.
Yeah, thank you. So they're coming out today. They'll be all over social media. The newsletter will be coming out, and there'll be a separate email about that as well. So, yep.
Well, thank you, Anne. I know you put tons of work and effort in preparing for this. Thank you for sharing it with all of us and making yourself available to us, because I'm sure several people are going to check this out. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Tammy, I'm here. I have a question. I have an idea for next week.
oh, okay.
Maybe we can have a short meeting where everybody brings on a couple of songs or suggests some of the songs that motivate children that are extra fun. I'm not super familiar with everything in Piano Marvel, and that would be helpful for me.
So kind of going over repertoire.
Or
Okay.
even tips of what to watch for, as you go through the method. I know that I learned in a previous meeting that someone, I can't remember her name now, Evelyn, said that she has a lesson on dotted quarter notes, and helps them as they end in, I think it was towards level 1, that she has them learn about that. So maybe just something like that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll take note and come up with the, maybe everybody, actually, Michelle, I'm going to let you lead out on this one.
Would everybody like to think about that a little? Because we can definitely bring, sorry, Gwen's talking. I don't think yeah, she's trying to feed her cereal to our dog, so that's been good. Does everybody want to come with a few ideas for just repertoire that you use with your students, just to get a bigger pool of good music? Are you looking for like more beginner, intermediate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if everybody could come with a pool, that would be great.
And also, maybe we can create a form or something where people can put in, things that they would be interested in learning more about. So we just kind of have a running list.
I like that. I will work on doing that.
Okay, cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
See you guys next week. Bye.